We're live. Good morning. Today, I'm going to continue working with Olive. I'm going to show you guys our session this morning. We're going to continue with recall. I'm going to add a sit stay in and see how she does with that. And then I'm also going to start doing the protocol of the railroad tracks that we do to start showing you how we start to teach a dog heel after they know recall. Thank you for joining, everybody. It's Tuesday and I'm outside. You know what's funny? Is I found out if I open the garage door, I can put you guys in the garage and I think the connection's gonna be okay. So I have a little bit of room outside to work. It might be enough to do some of these protocols. So thanks for joining. This is day 3 for Olive. And we're going to be working on, I'm gonna show you just like recall and stuff. From the recall, I'm gonna add the stay. We haven't done the sit stay yet. So we gotta add that sit stay in. And then after that, we'll start doing railroad tracks, that protocol that we do, where I'm backing up with the recall, and I'm just backing up, and then I stop. Eventually, I turn that into a heel, and so we'll see what she gets today. I'll try to do this for a little while. I'll work with her, and then I'll come back to you guys and see if there's any questions. I think I'm gonna try to stay in view. Normally when I do this, I'm all over the place, so I can change locations all the time, so that when I release the dogs, they're excited to go sniff a new environment, so therefore I can kind of keep the session fresh. I'll see what I can do with her, though. She likes to work. She likes to hang out with me, and I'll just start to get her knowledge a little further and then hang it up and come talk to you guys. All right. Oh, great. It's cool. I think you guys can still hear me from here pretty good, so I can still talk to you from here. Normally when I do this, I will walk. Walk until she starts to lose interest in me and starts to go on, and then I can get some recall practice. But for the sake of today's session, I'm just gonna do them as soon as she's kind of slightly distracted, and I can sneak away. But I might not be able to with her because she's right with me. Try to sit over here. Well, looks like I'm going to have to go to the next best thing, which is going from a sit stay to a recall and just seeing what she knows. Sit. Good. Stay. Good. You see how she's a good girl. She almost made a mistake, so I want to try to get her to make that mistake so I can tell her that it's wrong. That's a good girl. She already knows that, huh? Good girl. Just some mild distractions to see if she's gonna stay on. Good, nice. Oh, break. Good, yeah. That was good. That was good. So that stay was pretty solid. That's pretty solid. Yeah. Okay, cool. So what we'll do, I'll change gears a little bit. And I'll do sit stay, and then I'll also do the recall, but I'll keep backing up to start teaching her to follow me with the recall, and then I'll turn that into heel. Okay, so it looks something like this. Good girl. Good girl. Now remember, this was recall, but what happens if I keep moving? Good girl. That's nice. Good girl. Good girl. Lovely. Lovely. Stay. It's the first time doing this. Good. Break. Yes, you did. Nice work. Nice work. You gotta go potty? Okay. Good. Give her a little free time. There you go. She eats grass, they say. So they don't want her doing that because she eats a lot of grass. So while she's eating the grass, I'm going to practice her recall here. There's the recall. And now I'm going to go into the moving, right, the railroad tracks. Think of it as she's got to be on the straight line here with me. If she's off from that straight line, then I'll beep and tap, spin on the recall. This is going to turn into heel, good girl. Because if I just do this, she gets used to following me. You see, once I flip around. Sorry about that. Sometimes I'm talking and I can't say the name of the device that's in Apple, but that lady, she comes up because she thinks I say her name. Okay, so you see, I recall, and the dog knows it means to come to my feet, but I keep backing up now that the dog knows recall, we're on day 3, and now the dog's learning to follow me, and they're on what we call railroad tracks, they're on a straight line with me. And if they go off to try to do their own thing, it's beat, and then a correction on the e-collar, and then they're back with me. And I'm just moving around like this. They get used to following. What happens is you just turn your body around, you got a dog who's following you. So that beat will condition them to start the following mentality. It'll be a recall and it'll eventually be a heel as well. Okay? So thanks for joining in, guys. I'm gonna do a little bit more. All right? So watch, as soon as I hit that beat, you can't hear it, but I'll throw my hand up in the air when I hit it. Good girl. And now it's following me. Good girl. Yes, it is. Very nice. So good at that. Okay, so if I wasn't restricted to the camera, I would go in straight lines up down the road and stuff, you know. Good girl. So that was a tap, a couple taps on the collar there. And then the beat to tell her what to do with it. It means she's not following close enough. Look at her get this. Good girl. So look, when I start to flip it around, what happens is they can end up going out in front. So I just experiment with, girl. I experiment with going backwards like that, usually in a straight line. I'm not doing circles like this. And what happens is the dog kind of gets into a following mentality, and then I'll throw my body around to a heel. And when you're doing that at home, you'll notice that as soon as you go to put yourself in a heel, the dog will take permission to go out in front of you. And that's when I correct and beat, and then I just turn back to the railroad tracks. And once the dog's in the groove again and following me properly, then I switch again. And that can oftentimes produce a dog to go out again for some reason. It's just the funniest thing. After a few times of correcting, the dog stays, you know, back at the railroad tracks. When I spin, the dog stays where it is. And I say, good. And it just learns, now it's starting to learn this is the position. You can follow this leg when I'm backing up. It's the same thing when I do this. You're following this leg, okay? And then once they have that, then I just go to teaching heel. You know, I ditched the railroad track thing. That's just training wheels to get us there, okay? Good. I'm gonna try something with you guys. It could be a little hairy with the connection, but do some first person. Do some first person. Okay? Watch. Let me get on a number. I can't see through the screen here. Okay, something she feels like a 10. Okay? If I need it. Good girl. That's my girl. Look, she's following the feet. I turn. Good girl. I can't go too far, so this doesn't make much sense to her because we're not going to a place. When I do this, I actually bring a dog to a place to use the potty, and it's a different spot every time I release the dog. So they understand that we're going somewhere, so it makes more sense to them. See, that beep brings her, good girl, to the feet. Good girl. And so that's going to, you're doing so good. I know this is boring. So that's going to then become a heel, right? Pretty easily. Let me give you a little demonstration, although it's going to take a session or two. Honey, Olive. Good girl. So watch. If I'm doing this, it's as simple as flipping, right? And then when she goes out ahead, and then I'm back to the railroad. Good girl. But look, if I walked longer, she would go into a groove. And look, she's just following the leg now. So now I'm just saying, now I'm going to try to tell her to stay at this leg. Good girl. Good girl. Look. And then I stop. Look, because we created the follower mentality through the beep, and then I just turn over, and it's just the easiest way for me. Good. Good. And I got to say, this is all without a leash. I haven't picked up a leash this dog's entire training so far. Not that that's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm just letting you know that's the power of the e-collar and the tone and the body language and stuff, is that I actually did all this without ever picking up the leash. The leash is just there if I do need it, and I will pick up the leash, and I encourage you to use the leash, of course. I'm just saying there's something to be said about what you can do with an e-collar and the pressure once the dog's conditioned. Good girl, honey. Of course, if the dog's struggling, grab the leash, and while you're going backwards, you can use that leash too, but
if you're in a safe area or you got a long line on, experiment with not using a leash too. I encourage that because it feels funky at first, but then what you realize is that the dogs learn to follow a landmark on your body. So the dog's learning visually to see the back of my leg means that you're in position, not to feel the leash, but to actually see my body as landmarks, right? So if I say heel, you know you got to be behind this leg, and it will never change. It's always behind this leg. So they learn that visually. So they know how to get there like a map. They don't need the leash anymore, okay? And so, or they never did need the leash to begin with. Yeah, try it, Phyllis. It's a great way to tighten up the heel. So yeah, he's having issues with the heel. So you can do this to sharpen them up. And what it gives you an opportunity when you're walking backwards, just make sure you don't walk into anything, because I've walked into trees. We all have. Gabby has. Julie has. We've all ran over the same tree, actually. What you do is you can see your dog, so you can see when they're actually committed and following, but then you can see that moment where they're like, I'm not paying attention, and they kind of just like lose it for a second. You can be right on, with the correction and with the recall. This dog has melted my heart. She's gorgeous, and she's got a great temperament. Great with other dogs. Dogs just actually walked by her right there, if you can see that guy. She's an incredible girl. Yes, I think how old are you, girl? I can't remember how old you are. I think you're 3. I think you're 3-ish. She's had puppies. And she just knows how to hang out. And she just loves this. Look. Yeah, that's my kind of girl. She just likes the interaction. That's enough for her. She doesn't need food. Okay, cool. This dog's great. And so, hang on just a second. I always get myself stuck on the comments because I actually try to read them and then it takes over the whole screen. All right, so apparently, there we go. So let me give you a demonstration. So she's starting to learn. I can't go too far. If I was doing this alone, guys, I would take her up to the road and we'd be all over the place. And what I'm teaching her is when you hear the beep, you follow me. Keep following me, keep following me, keep following me. And then I'm going to stop. And then I'm going to have you sit. And when you sit, I'm gonna walk out in front. I'm gonna check the tree out. Then I'm gonna let you go check out. I'm bringing her to a place to check out that I think she's gonna want to check out. And I turn around and I say break, and then the dog comes over and checks out the thing. They check out the thing, whatever it is, whatever area in the lawn we're at. Once they look like they've lost interest in it, it's beep, which means come back to your owner to follow me to the next spot. And that sets up the pattern for a walk. Most dogs just need to learn, I know you want to sniff. I know you want to mark. I know you want to do all this stuff, but you can't do it while I'm walking you. While we're walking, you need to be polite because that's how we travel. Then once we get to the amusement park and I tell you break, then you can go and do all that stuff. The dog needs to know, when they hear this beep, that means you can't do that stuff. You have to follow until you're then released by your owner. Okay, so that's what this beep's doing. It's really getting her into work mode. It's getting her to follow mode. So that way when I do switch like this, she's in follow mode, and then I can just tell her to use her visual of the back of my leg. When you hear this beep and you feel that stim come right here to the back of the leg, and that's the pocket. Right there in that spot, there's no stim, there's no recall, there's just good girls and a pat on the head. So she understands that's the spot. And it can be tricky to teach a dog that without a leash. It can be tricky to do it with a leash, but getting good at that is the name of the game for teaching this off-leash heel stuff. The pocket is what I'm calling it, I suppose. It's like there's a certain spot for heel where the dog is behind your leg enough where they can see your leg. They can see your leg in front of them. If they go past the leg, they can't see the leg anymore, they're out of position. They have to follow that leg. You understand what I'm saying? Okay? Let me see if she can do some of this. She's very new. She's on day 3. But she likes her work, though, so she's learning quick. That's my good girl. Look at her. Look at her. It's a good doggy. Look at old belly rubs. Yeah, this dog's a keeper, for sure. Okay, but check it out, right? That's a good girl. Now, I don't want to do this too much on this live because she's starting to say, like, where are we going? We're not even doing anything. I want to add meaning to this by actually bringing her somewhere. Good girl. But look how she's following, right? Good girl. Come on, honey. We'll see where we can go. We'll see how far I can make it until it kicks me off. Okay, and then and then I stop her. This is early on, so I just a little information with my shush, which you've seen me tell her means to relax, and she offered sits, and I told her I like that, so that's what I'm going on right now. Good. Break. Go potty. So I like brought her up here, right? But you use your imagination. I would do this all over the yard, okay? And this is a good session. When I get off here, I'll do a little bit more with her because it really teaches her, look, she's taking a potty break, but then when she's done, I'm going to beep and she's going to come right back to follow me to the next place. And that means we're going to eventually be walking by dogs, people in the field, all this stuff. You still have to ignore it all once you hear that beep, okay? Until release, okay? So ready? Good girl, look at you. Look at you, darling. And then we'd walk to the next place, right? But right now I'm going to actually put her on place so I can talk with you guys. See, we have, good girl, a loose understanding of that means to follow. It's not like a perfect heel or anything, but it's the basic. It's the understanding to follow. I could just use this and we'd get by, right? But I'll tighten this up. Olive. Place. I don't know how much she knows this, but yeah, she's been around the block. Good girl. Good girl. Stay. You a good girl? Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Pretty cool, huh? So, oh, and you know what? Now that we're in the garage, I can show you a little sneak peek of one of the portraits I'm doing right now. Shepherd pencil sketch. Okay, so that's, let's see. Day one, we started recall, and then I also had taught her my way of correcting in the language of the e-call. That's me communicating with her that I don't like something, and also that I can control her energy. And I did that through the pack. I brought her into the pack. I disagreed with her going up on some of the dogs. That allowed her to understand my way of correcting and what I expect her to do after I correct, like what I want the follow through to look like. I want you to relax. The easiest way for her to figure that out for most dogs is if I do it with other dogs. If I correct them for doing bad behavior on other dogs or claiming another dog, if I claim another dog or even a person, it's social. So they understand that I'm saying you're not part of this event socially. So then they relax if I do it right. And in that moment that they relax, then I say, good, that's what I want you to do in the future when I disagree with you. So she learned all that on day one. She learned kennel behavior on day one, the beginnings of it. Bye, guys.
Bye.
This is Mama headed on out. Bye. Bye, Jess. It's a good girl. That's a nice response, honestly, because I haven't proofed the place command that much, so that was very good. Yeah, and then day two, I got you guys on here. I repeated the recall, and then what else did I do with her? I went out and did some, what did she do yesterday? I can't remember after that. Oh yes, the social work. I did more work around the pack, just making sure, because every dog needs to be tight with my pack and me, so that they can help me get them through the process. And then today is day three. She recapped the recall. She's got that pretty good. Now we're going to add the walk-in, start using that sit-stay, and then also more social work, actually. Today she's actually going to get introduced to, and she's good with dogs, by the way. She's great. But we do this with all of our dogs. We slowly introduce them, especially to the other board and trains. They need to get along with our dogs first. We get an idea of their temperament. We did that yesterday. She feels really good. We're going to put her in an actual social today with all the other board and trains and boarders too. And then and then tomorrow we'll continue working on the walk and start deepening that. And this whole like beep means to follow me until we get to a location. Then you're free, and then you come back and follow. That's going to be a few more days of that for her. What's today? Tuesday. By next week, she's going to be ready to go off property and start doing this stuff. So, okay. You're a good girl. Yes, you are. Thank you so much for helping us today, Olive. You good girl. All right, guys. Remember, if you have any questions or anything, let me know. But you can see we get the recall. We get a sit-stay. The sit-stay will help us with down. The recall helps us teach heel, and that's practically the whole program. We just teach them when, where, and how to use it, what the consequences are for breaking it. And then we start proofing it with heavy distractions. And then after that, we start bringing it out into the real world. All right. Let me know if you need anything, guys, if you got any questions, or if you want anything in particular, if you want to see anything in particular, okay? Appreciate you. And I will see you tomorrow. You're a good girl. Yes, you are.